Hey guys, hope y'all are doing great. And I hope y'all are having fantastic life or week or whatever. I know I am. So the purpose of this video is to basically just post some extra content up that because I haven't been doing it for a while, and it's also to talk about an issue that I wonder if everyone else is having because I just recently went through it. Me and my family went through it, and to basically post an update about what's going to be going on with the channel from here on in, hopefully. So to start with, does anyone understand the meaning of the word compassion? Compassion usually means you have a certain guess kindness or caringness to someone, and it could be anyone, someone that you like, someone that you admire, or anyone you mostly feel sorry for. Well, the reason why I want to bring this up is because a couple years ago, when my youngest brother, was working at his part-time job, he was going home one night, and he offered a couple of his coworkers a ride. And when he got there, he found out one of his coworkers was living in a car, an abandoned car. And this was in the middle of, not the middle, it was the beginning of January. So here in Texas, uh, January gets pretty cold. It was like, I believe, below 40 at the time. So it was freezing, and he felt sorry for him, so he brought him home here to at least be under a roof and be warm enough, and then figure what's going on. And then my mom, being the very compassionate one of the household, would listen to the guy's story on how he ended up where he is. And I'm doing go and I think all of it was all it's all bullshit, and I'll go into reasons why later on. And essentially, she offered him to stay a little bit longer. Basically, what she worked out with him is that not only does he have a place to stay, but he also has food, he has electricity, he has internet, he has running water, and an official place to sleep. He actually slept in this very room that I'm actually in right now, that I'm just trying to see if I can use. And it's really not that bad, and I think I could turn it into like a recording studio. The guy left some soundproof foam that I could possibly use, since he's currently not here, and I could see if I can use it for something. But when he first got here, he didn't have a car. Okay, so frankly, he either had to take an Uber from here to work and back, or wherever he needed to be. And frankly, from what it sounded, my mom wasn't available most of the time. So, or if she wasn't available, or she didn't feel like going out to go drive him to where he needs to go, pick him up anywhere. So she would call either me, my brother, or my dad to go do it. And after 9 months of doing that, it just got very irritating, and we basically put a strategy in place that he needed to start saving money to buy a car. And about a year ago, they decided to offer one of the old cars that we have, that my brother was using for work. And because we were going to get another used car for my older brother in Minnesota, and they were going to bring that here. So frankly, we were not going to be down a car. We were basically trading. We were selling a car to this guy, to our guest, so that he could drive himself wherever he needed to go, and we would still have another car that we could use available. So frankly, it wasn't much of a loss. It was a win. It was a win-win. And so, of course, after that, everything was turning out great. Now the next strategy for him after that was to essentially save enough money to get a job. recently we found out that he was basically wasting his money on something called autocross. He was basically, if you guys don't know, it's amateur racing. He was buying over a grand's worth of upgrades or adjustments or mods for the car he was using for transportation. And let's just say he had no idea what he was doing. All right? And he could severely do a lot of damage or permanent damage to the car, and then he would have no means of transportation. My folks found out about it, and then just last Saturday, uh, they wanted to approach him for it. They were not happy that this guy was wasting over a grand's worth of mods when he should be saving up money for a new place to stay. So it's like, no biggie. We'll just talk to him about it. And then he did something that I never thought he would ever do. He started to have a seizure. The paramedics were, and of course, since they didn't know if he was actually having a seizure or not, they treated it as a medical emergency, and they called 911 and brought paramedics over there, and they took him to the hospital. They went down to the hospital to check it out, and apparently my dad looked over some of his reports for that visit, and the doctors said that there was no signs of a seizure. He didn't have a seizure. So about a few days after that, my dad started to grow impatient. Our guest was basically trying to avoid my dad because he did not like my dad, which will come into play in just a bit. So my dad got impatient, approached him, and basically sat him down and go, okay, what the hell is going on? Seriously, what the hell is going on? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, you probably guys are wondering, how do I know about this? Well, I was essentially standing outside the room without this guy knowing, but my dad knowing, in case things start going a little bit aggressive. My dad was the kind of guy who would kind of wait till you threw the first punch to defend himself, and I was essentially trained by him into self-defense. So if anything happened, I would more than happy to come up to get in front of this guy and beat the crap out of him if he tried to do anything. So my dad did the rundown. I'm like, look, you said this, you said that, you've been doing this, you've been doing that, and when we tried to talk to you about your bad habits that were apparently felt like you were taking advantage of us, you decided to get out of it by faking a seizure. It's like, I wasn't faking a seizure. Like, yes, you were, because we went through when we took you there. Okay, they didn't bring in a specialist. They didn't do this. They didn't do a scan of any kind that would indicate that, and they did not diagnose it. And then he does. So what, are you sick? So what are you saying? I'm lying. And my dad, being fed up about all of this, just went, yes, I'm calling you out. And what our guest did next was something I never thought he would do, quite honestly. And that is essentially his next phrase, the next words that came out of his mouth were, fuck you, you scumbag. And I didn't know what the situation looked like. All I could hear was what he said. And my dad got mad. He basically said, you have 24 hours to get out of my house. And he did that to basically give this guy some time to cool down, get level-headed so that he can come back and talk to him. He can go back and talk to my dad, apologize, and try to talk things out. Because that's all he really wanted from our guest. To basically own up, be honest, and talk what's going on. No. For the next several hours that went by. Basically, this guy was going up and down this room to the garage, through the garage and out in the parking space where his car was, and started packing up his stuff. Now, of course, he still has some of his stuff here. I can see it, but essentially, he was going about saying all this shit like, just remember, when you burn down a bridge, you can't unburn it. When in fact, uh, you're not the one, like, you're not in a position to say that, okay? You're the one who's going to lose everything. My parents are not, all they're going to lose is probably a guest. They're not gonna lose anything. Financially, they're not gonna lose anything. Morally, emotionally, mentally, they're not gonna lose anything. Well, anything of value at least. So, and of course, my mom, who was trying to talk to him throughout the several days that it's been going on, failed to do that. And this is where the topic of the video comes in, and let me just finish the story. After that, he just packed his shit, drove off. He still has some mail coming in. He still left some of his stuff here. And all he said was, once I find a place to stay, I'll text y'all the address. I'll text y'all while you can send my mail. But other than that, go fuck yourselves. So that's the story, and why I told the story comes on to the topic that I want to talk about for now. Is compassion. When it comes with compassion, having compassion, you also need to learn to have patience. Okay? Or with compassion comes patience. Okay? If you have no patience, if you run out of patience, then you no longer have compassion. And usually it's a cause and effect. See, everyone here had compassion for him enough to feel that, oh, this guy's in a rough spot. We'll help him out as best as we can. All right? And of course, there was some stuff that we had to deal with, so we had to have the patience to just hopefully that we can trust through this. He'll outgrow them as he lives here, and he'll move on. You can't expect someone to continuously have compassion for you if you run their patience to the ground. Frankly, that's what happened here. With all the stuff that's been happening, all the shady stuff he's been hiding behind our backs, all the bad habits he's been having, basically putting us on the spot and making us have to pay the expenses for that. Our patience was basically running dry. So my sympathy and compassion for the guy was already gone, because I kind of felt he was taking advantage of my folks. All right, and usually no one does that except me. I'm joking, by the way. I'm joking about that. But you can have compassion for someone, and you can have unlimited amount of patience. All right, but I don't think that you should be expecting someone to have unyielding compassion for you. We're only human. All right, you should try to work with their patience, because if they're being patient with you enough that you will better yourself and you work with that, then you don't have to worry about anything. In this case, my mom was a bit too compassionate about him and his situation. And it started to basically put a toll on their sanity and patience. Where my dad was basically ready, you know what? I can't deal with this anymore. He started going, and my dad, actually being retired from his federal job, is now more of doing sales. So he basically spent more time on the road, going out and doing business. And he said and he had to go somewhere. So he's like, you know what? I'm just about ready to just pack up and just go on my trip early, because I can't stand this. Luckily, my parents talked it out and they sort of got over it. But right now, we're in the situation where, my dad is essentially waiting for him to call or text, email, whatever, to call him back saying, okay, I'm sorry about what I said. I'm ready to talk if you're ready to talk. And that was Wednesday. We have yet to hear anything from him other than I'll text you when I have my new place. So when you think about helping someone out, you gotta understand that not everyone expects you to have the unlimited amount of compassion and patience. Okay? Your patience will be determined on whether or not you will be compassionate about someone. All right? You know that old saying, patience is a virtue. It's one of the many ultimate virtues in life. All right? You can't be passionate if you don't have patience. You can't be kind if you don't have patience. Patience is just one of these things to where, okay, sure, it's a slow going process with you. You got some stuff you got to work out, but you're going to work through them. I guarantee it. So with all of that, I'm surprised after 2 years of having to deal with all this bull that my parents have finally run their patience to the ground. And I just hope to God that, he doesn't call back. He doesn't contact him in any way. And hopefully he doesn't, because he has until, if he hasn't said anything in about a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they basically will essentially accept the fact that he's not coming back, which is frankly, what I really want. I don't trust him to be an upstanding citizen enough to where he can better himself, because if he did, he would not be using all of his time, effort, and money on things that will just inconvenience not just him, but my family. And now, the final part of this video, before I end it, is a bit of an update. So I'm not sure if I talked about this in a recent video or a latest video. I'm pretty sure I don't. But recently I just got an Elgato. So I'm hoping, at least very soon, to start recording some sessions and just editing everything and uploading them and seeing if I can put some gameplay footages or sessions or at least or reviews or anything to basically kind of upgrade the kind of visual content that I put in. So I want to say, if anyone's watching this, if put a like this video, subscribe, leave a comment if you ever had a situation that I've had where your patience was when you used your compassion to help someone and your patience was ultimately tested. So I'm sorry I've been a bit slow on this. There was just a lot of things going on in my life that I needed to take care of, and with all this, and I'm still dealing with it. But everything should be just smooth sailing from here on in, and hopefully I'll be able to give y'all some new content soon, and we'll just go from there. That's all. Peace.